Forbidden West just got an awesome update, and it's packed with some great new features and a bunch of quality of life improvements people have been looking forward to for a long time. The biggest new feature is definitely the long-awaited New Game Plus mode, which allows you to restart the game after completing the main storyline, but you get to keep all of your skills, gear, and items. By the way, if you're trying to figure out how to start a New Game Plus, make sure you've completed all the main quests, and then head to your base to interact with the Zenith transmitter. But along with New Game Plus, we got other awesome features like Transmog, which allows you to wear the look of one outfit but use the stats and skills of another. For example, right now in my ultra hard New Game Plus playthrough, I'm rocking the Karja Blazon dyed green as my look, but I'm actually using the stats and skills of the Nora Thunder Warrior. And yes, you heard me right. We also got the ultra hard difficulty setting, which you can select when starting a New Game Plus. There's a bunch of other new things too, like new trophies to complete, much improved visual fidelity and performance mode, and the ability to redistribute all your skill points, which you can do in any save file by the way, not just New Game Plus. But the most exciting new addition for me, and the one we're going to focus on in this video, are the 8 brand new legendary weapons that are exclusive to New Game Plus. These aren't just adept versions of the weapons we already had, like what we got in Zero Dawn's New Game Plus. These are totally new legendaries, and there's one for each weapon category. Well, except for ropecasters. For some reason, ropecasters keep getting left out of the legendary category. Anyway, in this video, we're going to compare the new legendary weapons to the originals, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on which ones you should prioritize. Plus, I built a checklist for you guys to use in case you want to farm upgrade resources for these weapons before starting your New Game Plus. Of course, we've got a lot to cover, so let's go. Before diving into the weapons themselves, let's talk about how you buy and upgrade them. Purchasing the new legendaries is actually pretty straightforward. The same ones are sold at almost every hunter merchant, and each one costs 10 champions tokens. You earn these tokens by simply playing through the game. Quests will give you 2 or 3, and you can get more by doing things like relic ruins, hunting grounds, and cauldrons, so you'll be able to purchase the new weapons you want pretty quickly. However, upgrading them is another story. These babies are pricey to upgrade, and it could be a bit frustrating to purchase your shiny new legendary in Chain Scrape and then not be able to really use it until you can get upgrade resources from machines found later in the game. Because of that, you'll want to consider farming resources before starting New Game Plus, so of course you're going to need a list of what to farm. Well, I've got that list for you. I've gone through and cataloged all the upgrade resources needed for each of the new legendaries and put them together in this spreadsheet, so let me give you a quick tour. On the first page, we have a master list of every resource you're going to need if you want to be able to upgrade all the new legendaries. The first column lists the resource name, and the second column lists the total quantity you need. In the third column, I've listed which weapons the resource is used for, and the exact quantity for that weapon is in parentheses. So for example, we can see here that you're going to need a total of 9 Behemoth Force Loaders. 6 of them are for the final chapter Shredder Gauntlet, and 3 are for the Reign of Sparks Warrior Bow. When you've got them all, you can just hit this checkbox and the row will turn green. Now, if you're only interested in a few of the new weapons, you can hop over to this second tab and see the individual upgrade level resources needed for the weapon you're interested in. You can use this one as a checklist too, and if you just want a single list of all the components for a particular weapon, you can find that here in the last column. To make a copy of this spreadsheet for yourself, just go up here to File and then select Make a Copy, and you'll get your own editable version added to your Google account. You can also download it as an Excel spreadsheet, but the checkboxes won't be there anymore. If you guys find this helpful, I simply ask that you please consider leaving a like on this video and sharing it with other people you think might find it useful. Alright, let's check out all the new weapons. Okay, first up we have Iriv's Downfall, which is the new Sharpshot bow. This one is pretty exciting to me because of the ammo types. The original legendary Sharpshot bow, the Forgefall, had both regular and advanced plasma arrows along with advanced precision arrows. Plasma isn't a very useful element, especially on higher difficulty levels, and I really thought it was a waste to take up 2 ammo slots on the Forgefall with plasma arrows. So I'm really happy to see that Iriv's Downfall ditches the plasma arrows in favor of Tear precision arrows and the new Elite precision arrows. I'm actually more excited about the Tear precision arrows because I like to use those to farm certain components like Stormbird storm cannons and Dreadwing metal fangs. The best bow we used to have for Tear precision arrows was the purple Glow Blast, but the Downfall really outclasses it now. Don't get me wrong, the Elite precision arrows are cool too. They're now the highest damage arrows in the game, but they're very expensive to craft, so I don't really see myself using them very often, especially since you can only carry a max of 6 at a time. It's also worth noting that the Elite precision arrows are currently bugged and don't do the correct amount of damage on frozen machines. I'm sure they'll fix that soon though. The other ammo type I would have liked to see on the Downfall is strike-through precision arrows like those found on the Delta Sharpshot bow or Regala's Wrath. Those are excellent for piercing armor on human enemies, so I'll still be taking out my Regala's Wrath for rebel camps, but I'm okay with that. At least now I can just juggle 2 Sharpshot bows instead of 3. Side note, when you get there in your New Game Plus, make sure you pick the other option with Regala this time so you can get the item you didn't get on your first playthrough. Taking a look at the perks on Iriv's Downfall, we can see that they're different from the Forgefall. Probably the most noticeable change will be the lack of a 40% draw speed boost, but overall I wouldn't sweat these differences too much. Unless you really like plasma arrows, I think Iriv's Downfall is an excellent upgrade over the Forgefall, and it should definitely be high on your list of new legendary weapons to pick up. Another new legendary that really interests me is the Tears of the Land God Hunter Bow, which now outclasses the Deathseeker's advanced hunter arrows by by a long shot in both impact and tear damage. I primarily use my Deathseeker for tearing off machine components, so the Tears of the Land God is looking like a really nice upgrade for that purpose. We can also see that the advanced shock arrows on the Deathseeker have been swapped with advanced purge water arrows. Now I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. On one hand, shock is a super useful element, and as you guys saw in my Tremor Tusk hunting guide, I like having the ability to hit Sparker canisters. Also, even playing on very hard, with the Sun Scourge, I found I rarely need purge water. On the other hand, it is going to be much harder to build up elemental status effects on ultra hard, so Gorilla might actually be doing us a huge favor here by giving us access to a stronger option for purge water buildup. I also have my Ancestors Return Shredder Gauntlet to shock machines, so maybe losing the shock arrows won't be a big deal. Looking at the TLG's perks, we see some really nice improvements. We now get 20% concentration damage, 25% component tear, 25% long range damage, and 65% draw speed. With the exception of 25% long range, those are all useful pretty much all the time, and will make it even easier to tear off components. We also maintain the Deathseeker's 15% overdraw damage, another broadly applicable perk. So overall, I'm really happy with the perk changes here. The Tears of the Land God might turn out to be the most useful new legendary, so I definitely recommend you prioritize it. Up next, let's take a look at the Brawlbreaker Boltblaster. Our previous best Boltblaster was the Blast Forge. Comparing the two, we can see both the advanced and explosive bolts are a bit stronger. The Brawlbreaker also swaps out the piercing bolts for frost bolts. Personally, I pretty much exclusively use my Boltblaster to dish out raw damage with the sustained burst weapon technique. So I pretty much only use the advanced bolts and sometimes the explosive ones. Just looking at the damage stats, the Brawlbreaker is looking like a pretty good improvement. However, the perks are quite a bit different. Most notably, the Brawlbreaker lacks the draw speed and reload speed perks that I pretty heavily rely on with the Blast Forge. In fact, I still use one of the coil slots on my Blast Forge for a 25% reload speed coil since I want to make sure I can reload it mid-fight. So with the Brawlbreaker, I'm a bit concerned that I'll either have to sacrifice mobility for damage, or I'll have to use more of its coil slots for reload speed coils, which of course leaves fewer slots for impact damage coils and might negate the small damage advantage the Brawlbreaker has. This one's going to take some experimenting, but I do think the Brawlbreaker is an enticing weapon. For you Blastsling fans, we have another interesting new option, Legacy's Reach. I feel confident in saying that this one is a clear upgrade over the Wings of the Ten. We have more powerful advanced explosive bombs, which are definitely a primary ammo on a Blastsling. The regular explosive bombs have been swapped for cluster bombs, which break apart before impact and deal damage over a larger area. These aren't super powerful or anything, but I like that we have some variety instead of redundant explosive bombs. Another good change, in my opinion, was swapping the adhesive bombs for acid bombs. Acid is a much more useful element than adhesive, so it's nice to have another legendary option for this. Although the Sun Scourge is still probably the best acid weapon. Another improvement on Legacy's Reach is its perk for 25% knockdown power. Blastslings already deal more knockdown buildup than most other weapons, so having a perk for knockdown power means this sling will be even more effective at triggering knockdowns. Now personally, I don't currently use a Blastsling in my loadout, but if you do, then I would consider picking up Legacy's Reach early in your New Game Plus playthrough. Another enticing new weapon is the final chapter Shredder Gauntlet. Now if you guys have seen my Shredder Gauntlet masterclass video, then you know I'm a big fan of Shredders, so this new one immediately caught my eye. However, it's hard to compare it to the Ancestors Return because their ammo types are so different. They do both have tear shredders, but personally I rarely use those. Instead, I prefer shock and acid shredders for a number of reasons. If you want to learn why, I'll link my shredder video below, but for now, take my word for it that elemental shredders are the best shredder ammo, and the final chapter's lack of them is concerning to me. The perks on the final chapter are also a bit of a letdown compared to the Ancestors Return. We've lost 25% agility, 65% draw speed, 20% concentration, and 25% component tear, which are perks I leverage all the time on the Ancestors Return. This one is going to take some experimentation to see if it can earn a spot on my weapon wheel, but my take right now is that the Ancestors Return will continue to reign supreme. Now let's take a look at Defiance, the new spike thrower. Compared to the Sky Killer, Defiance has improved explosive and advanced explosive spikes, which are definitely the ammo people use most frequently on a spike thrower, so from that perspective, it's a nice improvement. Interestingly, the fire spikes on the Sky Killer have been replaced with regular impact spikes. Fire isn't a particularly useful element in Forbidden West, so this isn't a huge letdown. That being said, those fire spikes might be the most useful fire ammo in the game because of how high their damage stat is, so losing them for regular spikes might be a letdown for some. If you guys saw my Slitherfang hunting guide, then you know I like using drill spikes, so I really would have liked to see this new legendary spike thrower get drill spike ammo instead of plain old impact or regular explosive spikes, but maybe we'll get better drill spikes in a DLC. Another odd thing with Defiance is the fact that it only has 4 perks instead of 5 like the Sky Killer. I also don't think the perks are particularly great. We lost the 25% reload speed and 65% draw speed from the Sky Killer, so in practice, I'm not sure Defiance is going to be much of an upgrade over the Sky Killer. But hey, if you just like to use explosive spikes and the splitting spike weapon technique, Defiance might be your new go-to. Moving on to warrior bows, we have the new Rain of Sparks, which we can compare to the Karja's Bane. This is another case where I can't see a clear winner yet. The Rain of Sparks does have slightly higher impact and tear damage, but its perks also seem a bit worse than the Karja's Bane. Bane. 15% critical hit chance and 25% critical hit damage are good for the Rain of Sparks, but all 4 perks on the Karja's Bane were pretty useful, especially 40% melee follow-up and 25% corroding enemy damage if used properly. I also like the 25% agility damage and 25% knockdown power, which we've lost on the Rain of Sparks. The elemental arrows have also been swapped from fire to adhesive. That change doesn't bother me much since I never use a warrior bow for elemental ammo, but all the perk changes are going to take some testing to figure out if there's a good playstyle for the Rain of Sparks. My hunch right now is that the Karja's Bane will prove to be superior. Finally, we have All Mother's Blessing, a new Tripcaster. Now this one's a bit odd since it doesn't share any of the same ammo types with the Tinker's Pride, so I don't think it's really fair to compare them. Instead, it's really more comparable to the Perimeter Tripcaster, which shares the same shock and fire tripwire ammo. We can see right away that the AMB is far superior for both of these ammo types, and it also has the best plasma tripwires in the game. So if you're a tripwire and trap player, this could be a very enticing new weapon for you. It also has useful perks like 40% damage over time, 40% stealth damage, and even an 8% instant confuse chance. Okay guys, those are all the new legendary weapons and my thoughts on them. I hope this video has helped you wrap your head around these cool new weapons and helped you decide which ones you're most interested in. Definitely go check out my upgrade resources spreadsheet too, and consider using it to prepare for your New Game Plus playthrough. If you guys enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please consider leaving a like and let me know in the comments what you think of the new legendaries. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.